Gathering, you need mana to cast spell. Each turn you can play a land, meaning turn 1 you have 1 mana. Next turn you then have 2 lands, therefore you have 2 mana. On turn 3 you have 3 lands, therefore you have 7 mana. That's right, we're playing Tron. That's my card. Stop, pick this up. These lands are called the Ursus lands. For some reason we call them Tron land because of a robot named Voltron. Not to be confused with Magic the Gathering's character Megatron, which has nothing to do with today's video, but I do like to mention that he's a Magic the Gathering card. We've got a mine, power plant, we've got a tower. Each of these lands makes 1 colorless mana, but if you have all 3 in play, they make 2 mana. Except for the tower, it'll make 3 then. I'll make 3, which is great, that's 7. I'm gonna use this mana to create large dudes, monsters. We're playing Monster Tron today. Pauper's largest creatures are Tron, Khazad-dûm, Valerian, Terra, Nyxborn, Hydra, but all of these are smaller than the creatures we're going to be casting. These ones. Maelstrom Colossus, Boulder Branch Golem, Wretched Griffin, and Ulamog's Crusher. Don't forget about him. He's... wow! Now this deck does have one weakness. If we don't get all these 3 lands, we make no mana. Then we have 7 mana cost creatures we can't play. So how do we make sure we have all of these lands? Well, the first thing is called mulliganing, which we should do correctly and a lot to make sure we have all of these lands. The second thing is, let me show you. Other than scrying, we have these. This is Expedition Map, I think. Yeah, and this is World Map from Final Fantasy. They can find any land in our deck and put it into our hand. So as long as we have like an Ursus land and one of these and draw another one, we can then crack the list for the last one. It's really smart, honestly. I do have to tell you a secret. This is redundant. Every good Tron player just has it, you know? You don't need to actually dig for your things, look for them. You always just have Tron naturally, as we call it, in your hand. That's a joke, because that's what you think, but it's not true. Unless you're playing. What's next in the script? The place where I'm playing, there's usually a lot of blue Tolarian Terror players, and I'm tired of losing to them, so I'm bringing this deck because I think it's really good into that. And I want to punish them for once instead of losing with weird combos to counter spells, you know? Big monsters be bigger. No, wait. Bigger monsters be big monsters. But let's see how it goes. For game 1, I got paired against Diamir Tower, which is basically blue Terror, just with some black splash in for like removal spells or something. My starting hand is a bunch of different Ursus land and a world map, so I can get Tron going relatively fast. And I do have the payoffs, but most importantly, I have Relic of Progenitus, which can slow my opponent down if he's trying to cast Tolarian Towers. Let's go do it! My opponent goes first, plays an island, passes the turn to me, and I know exactly what my opponent is playing because I saw his deck before we started. I have a world map, and he knows to spell pierce it, trying to sabotage my plan of getting Tron online. My opponent is a true blue mage, keeping 2 islands open, but I have 2 Tron lands in my opening hands, and a world map that resolves for some reason, and even better, a Relic of Progenitus. I'm very happy now. I can exile the 1 spell in my opponent's graveyard, and if he has any Tolarian Towers in hand, that's where they're gonna stay. My opponent had no turn 2 play, but then has an Abandoned Attachments on turn 3, discarding a Sneaky Snagger and drawing 2 cards, and because he drew 3 cards this turn, the Sneaky Snagger comes into play tapped. Then he plays a land and passes. The spell set discard a card and draw 2 are really good with Sneaky Snagger. It's such a cool combo. Luckily I have my Relic of Progenitus to keep his graveyard clean and making sure no other creatures follow up. I played a second tower, so I don't have Tron yet, but I play an expedition map to go find the missing Tron land and pass the turn. My opponent casts a Thought Scour, milling himself for 2, filling his graveyard up. Luckily he only hits 1 spell and a land. This means his Tolarian Terror still costs way too much for him to claim, and that 1 Sneaky Snagger, while it's gonna attack me and put me down to 18, it's not gonna go the distance once I have Tron online and have like, what, 10 mana this turn? And we are Tron line. I'm going to spend 7 mana costing a Maelstrom Colossus. Not only it's a 7/7 for 7 mana, when you cast it, it cascades, meaning you reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal a card that costs less than 7. And I get Zuko's Exile, which can exile the Sneaky Snagger, giving my opponent a clue. And even with that counter spell, my Maelstrom Colossus still traded up because it technically casts 2 spells. So counter spell is just not the answer here. I then use my world map to go find a mountain in case I want to cast a red spell at any point. That said, my opponent does have to counter my creatures. They're bigger than all of his creatures, so he can't fight them. And he still can't cast any of his big snakes because he has no graveyard since I cracked my Relic of Progenitors to draw a card. And then I play Wretched Griff. It on cast draws me a card. So even if it was counterspelled, again, I would just draw a card anyway. And then I have a world map to find even more mana. You can see how all the creatures I'm playing aren't just powerful, they also have an effect that somehow goes around counter spells or removal. So even though my opponent uses the Snuff Out to kill my creature, I have traded up because it replaced itself when it drew a card. Also, my opponent is down to 16 because of the Snuff Out costing 4 life to play for free. My opponent has the one card that might be able to win in this game, Murmuring Mystic. For each spell he casts, he gets a 1/1 flying illusion bird, and that's kind of scary because that can block forever, so I do have to get rid of that. Luckily for me, he tapped all his mana, and there's no 1-mana counterspell that gets rid of Pinnacle Helix ship thingy. I can't remember its real name right now, it's so bad. Something kill ship. It deals 10 damage when it enters and gets rid of the Murmuring Mystic. My opponent plays a Brainstorm and gets a bird. It's a 7/7 creature if I station 7 on it. That's a new mechanic from Edge of Eternities. New is, yeah. Anyways, I play a Boulder Branch Golem, which also gives me 6 life when it enters. And then on my opponent's turn, he casts Mental Note, milling himself for 2. I get to see the Skirmac Angler in the deck. He attacks with 1 flying, putting me down to 24, and then uses a Snuff Out to kill my Boulder Branch Golem, putting himself down to 12 and passes the turn. Now, this ship can't actually attack, because I need to, use my other creature's power to station it, just like when crewing, or mounting, or whatever else they come up with. Luckily, I have another Maelstrom Colossus, and the Maelstrom Colossus finds me some candy. It has candy for me. It's a very nice Colossus, actually. But I can use this Colossus to activate my kill ship, because it has 7 power, so it puts 7 count. Oh, it got counter spelled. Well, it can't do anything. I still get the candy though, and I have an Ulamog's Crusher, which is even better to resolve. Not only can it still station the ship, but when it attacks, my opponent has to sacrifice 2 permanents. This looks very bad for my opponent. He uses another kill spell on the kill ship, but I still have my Ulamog's Crusher. I saw how much mana my opponent had opened and hoped he only had 1 counterspell. That's why I led with the Colossus and then played the Ulamog's Crusher afterwards. My opponent is in desperation looking for some way to deal with Ulamog's Crusher using a deep anal scissors to draw 2 cards, hoping to find something. He does find a Tolarian Terror, which he can finally cast because he finally has enough spells in the graveyard, and then he passes the turn to me. And you know, once you get to attack with Ulamog's Crusher, you've probably won. Your opponent going down 2 permanents for 1 attack, that's a good way to win the game. He even has to block to not, lose the game. I play a Pinnacle Helix healing ship thingy. I have to pay 2 for the ward. Here's a trick. Unless they announce the ward trigger, you don't actually have to pay for it because they haven't put that trigger on the stack. So always wait for them to say, trigger my ward, or just pay up front if you're a nice person unlike me. And there goes the 2 parents. He blocks with a bird. It has trample from the equipment I attached, and he's down to 1, and he concedes. That worked exactly as I wanted. The relic gave me time. We played our threats, which were bigger than his threats, which is, that's how you win. We can just grind our opponent out. Whenever he casts a creature, it's smaller than mine. Whenever I cast a creature, it's bigger. That's the power of 7 mana. Sideboard, so he's probably going to get in some steel sabotages and all to try and sabotage either my game plan of collecting Ursa or countering the different artifact monsters I have. But luckily, they all have cast triggers such as drawing cards, cascading, so it should be fine. My hand is, this is a silly hand for me. I have natural Tron. I was saying it as a joke, but you always just have Tron natural. But here we are once again. And if he has any annals or anything, I don't care. I can just play the lands from my hand. Just need to draw some threats and, So let's go see if I'm right. Good old game 2, and because I won the first one, my opponent goes first. Luckily there's no Delver or anything, it's just an island, and I get to play Candy Trail right off the bat. Even though I have natural Tron, so I don't need to look for it, I am just digging for a threat I can play on turn 3. My opponent goes end step Brainstorm, which is fine if you have an upkeep play to mill it or shuffle it, but they were just looking for a land or something, draws an island, plays something, and passes. This does not seem to be a very fast hand for my opponent, and I already have my second Tron land and a Relic of Progenitus, which there's the annul that I predicted in the sideboard, getting rid of the Relic, but that means that he can't counter whatever artifact creature I play next turn, though a Relic would have entirely stopped his game plan. He has to use a Lorien Reveal to find a third land, which is not great, but then he also finds a black land, which allows him to start casting the Snuff Outs if my creatures resolve. Turns out he actually did have a land already and plays another island. Even though I haven't used a relic, there's still only 3 spells in his graveyard, so he can't cast any of the big snakes yet. And I have all my Trons. I am Tron line. Sadly, I don't have a big guy to play, so all I can do is play a Lembas, scry one, draw a card, eat my food, go to 29, and draw a card. My opponent then mills himself 2 with a mental note, putting a Sneaky Snacker into his graveyard and a Snuff Out. That Sneaky Snacker could come back with a Brainstorm, so let's hope he doesn't draw too much now. The 4th land is played, and he still doesn't have any Snuff in his swamps to play Snuff Outs, but that Tolarian Terror is pretty big, so if I don't find something to block it out with soon, this could start going south. Except for the fact that I'm already at 29, so I have plenty of time to find whatever I need. The longer and grindier this game goes, the more likely I am to win it, since all my creatures trade up against him. And here's an example of that. I play a Maelstrom Colossus, which hits a Boulder Branch Golem on the Cascade, meaning I'm playing 2 creatures that are as big or bigger than the Tolarian Terror. He has no counterspell for either of them, and even if he did, I would still have a creature left. So I'm the one attacking here, and I have more life. He's gonna have to use a Snuff Out to get rid of the 7/7, and then he could block the Boulder Branch Golem, which he will do, once again, because my creature is still bigger. It's a 6/5, so it's a trade that's worth it to him. But that was me spending 1 card to get 2 cards out of his hand, and then I resolve a Relic, exiling both graveyards, and because of that, I won't have to face another snake for a while. The only thing I have to be really concerned about is a Murmuring Mystic, if he can counterspell backups to make sure I don't remove it. This Wretched Gryph will help me stay stable. It's a 3/4 that draws me a card when it enters, and I will be able to play 1 threat every turn. My opponent then plays a Lorien Reveal, drawing 3 cards, and again, I don't mind this, even though it's bad for me that he gets so many cards. The longer the game goes, the grindier it is, the happier I am, because he cannot compete with the power of my creatures. Especially not Ulamog's Crusher, Annihilator 2, 8/8 for 8. Also, I think that's funny about this deck is once you have all the Tron lands and have them online, you have to keep making sure you tap the right amount for everything. Like this was 2 towers and a mine, because the towers give 3 and the mine gives 2. It's kind of a fun little math puzzle sometimes you can do, like a mini game. My opponent tries to cast a mental note, milling himself for 2, building the graveyard up again so he can start getting some snakes out of his hands, hopefully. He's staring down 11 power and an Annihilator 2 on the other side of the board. If he does not have a way to deal with this Ulamog's Crusher, this game is gonna be over soon. Candy Trail lets me set up either a Maelstrom Colossus or find my next threat. I put both on the bottom because there was no big creature there. Then I have to eat my candy, see if I can find some sort of 7 mana thing, go all the way up to 32, and hopefully do something. But I choose to go to attack. My opponent does have a Snuff Out he can play, getting rid of the Crusher before he has to sacrifice 2 lands. And that's the one creature I here do trade 1 for 1 with, because it didn't do anything when it entered. I still get to attack for 3, putting my opponent down to 10. And I play this Pinnacle Kill Helix ship now, even though it doesn't have anything to deal damage to, because I want to be able to play a threat next turn, bring it online, and swing in for flying lethal. My opponent, on the other hand, has another removal spell, getting rid of Gryph, but that's again me doing fine. That Gryph drew me a card. That Extractor Confession did not draw a card. He then has to play a Sneaky Snacker, which usually goes to the graveyard and comes back when you draw 3 cards. So he's in a big pickle. On the other hand, I am now playing these kill ships, which deal 10 damage to a little fairy, but I have no way of bringing them online until I get another creature. I use my map to go find a haunted fern graph, which can bring a creature back from my graveyard. This is my opponent's chance. Right now I have no creatures in play. If this snake can go the distance, he would need to have a bunch of like annulls and counter spells in hand to back it up. Because if I resolve a single creature, suddenly I have 2 extra 7/7 flyers that will end the game very fast. And here's the Maelstrom Colossus. It hits a world map, which is fine because I can find a haunted fern graph. He has to counter the Colossus. I accidentally put the world map into my graveyard when clearly it's the Colossus he wants to counter. But I can use the haunted fern graph. For 3 mana, it brings a random creature back from my graveyard to my hand. I have a weird habit of targeting a creature with it. I'm pretty sure in most of the cases where I did it, it doesn't matter because I only have 1 creature in my graveyard. Relief of Progenitus keeps exiling all the creatures in my graveyard. So I should have rolled here and I could have gotten the Ulamog's Crusher instead of the Maelstrom Colossus. So that is a mistake I made. I get attacked, I go down to 32, and now I have... Unless my opponent have a whole lot of removal and counters left, this game should be fine. I will just play this Maelstrom Colossus. I will then go find something with the Cascade, hopefully another big creature. And even if it isn't, I can then station both my ships. It actually finds a Wretched Griff, which on cast, which when you Cascade you cast, will draw me a card. He counters the Maelstrom Colossus, which means I can't bring the ships online, except for the fact that I have another Ulamog's Crusher. That I then cast, I use it, I bring the first ship online, the first ship then brings the second ship online, and I can swing in for 7 in the air, bringing my opponent down to 3 life. And I have a board of 2 7/7 flyer, a 3/4 flyer, and an 8/8 with Annihilator 2 against a single snake. I don't know what my opponent is looking for, but he is certainly in the tank trying to find answers. And here's another Brainstorm digging deeper into the deck. The only chance would be some sort of Murmuring Mystic and then play 3 spells, creating a bunch of blockers, and then sacrificing lands to the Ulamog when it attacks, and then finding even more of the Snuff Outs, or the Extract Confessions. Sadly, Extract Confession is bad here, because I would just not sacrifice Ulamog's Crusher. My opponent is thinking through, looking at his hand, looking at my board, realizing he has to stop 3 flying attackers. And I don't know what he could have possibly have. He shows me the hand. It's good game. 1-0 so far. It's kind of funny how similar our gameplays are. We both need 2 turns of setup to play huge threats. It's just that my threats are bigger. My weakness, however, is I don't have counter spells like these. So if someone comes in and tries to combo me to death, help me. So luckily, it's about reading the meta, and we read it correctly, it seems. Also a TO, our usual TO, but she came by and put a mystery card in the prize pool. So now I need to win extra bad. I know this time I'm up against blue snakes because I know this opponent and he plays the same deck every time, and that's a huge bonus. One of my things is whenever I go to a tournament, no one really knows what I'm bringing because, it's a new thing every week, so I can make a dumb YouTube video of it that no one watches. Except you. You're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe. This isn't a great hand. We only have one of the Tron lands and no maps. But we have a bunch of ways to scry, and I feel lucky. This time I'm playing against mono blue terror, which means I won't have my creatures removed in the same way. They might be bounced or returned to the top of my deck, but that's fine. Then I'll get them back anyway. I start out with a candy trail, which will help me get to Tron or find whatever threats I need, and my opponent just has a suspicious blue mana open, so I assume whatever I play right now is gonna get countered. I try for a world map, which is great because now I can find Tron really fast. And my opponent wanted to mill himself. He hits no spells and puts the mental note into his graveyard. I've played against this opponent many times with this deck, and he always has 2 Tolarian Terrors turn 3, but it doesn't seem like he has it today. He keeps 2 blue mana open, passes it over to me, and there we go. I'm pretty sure I have a simple Tron. There's so much glare on these cards, it's kinda hard to see. I go find the last card of the Tron with my Expedition map, and I put it into play. It makes 2 mana, but I can't really play anything relevant for 2 mana, so I'll just have to pass the turn. My opponent finds a 3rd island and doesn't actually use the 2 untapped mana for anything, and then plays a Delver. This is very good for me. There's not a lot of pressure on me, and I'm going to a simple Tron. right away. I find a Limbus that I play. I still need to find the last of the 3 Tron lands. I have 2 towers, and I don't have a world map yet. So hopefully I can find either a world map or the last Tron land very soon. If I have to play 3 more lands before I can get my actual creatures out, this Delver might actually go the distance. I did gain 3 life from eating my candy trail, so it's a lot of hits if the Delver's gonna go the distance without any help. But he has a brainstorm to go find snakes, and I really hope that my opponent doesn't have anything too bad to follow up with right now. There's a 4th island. I get hit down to 20, and my opponent passes the turn. This means there's no snakes in his hand yet, and I have time to cast another candy trail. Hopefully I find my Tron land here. I keep 1 top, put 1 bottom. But unlike Limbus, this card doesn't draw unless I use it, so I have to use another Limbus and go find another land, hopefully. I do find it, and now I'm Tron line. So I think we've got this in the bag. I start by playing an equipment. This equipment is a 3-mana equipment, equipped for 1, give Vigilance, Haste, and Trample. It's really good with the huge heavy hitters. It's actually an impressively good card. I might want it in some commander decks sometime. My opponent has played a Ponder looking for snakes still. I haven't played a single Relic of Progenitus to make sure his graveyard has gone away, so they should be cheap by now. The problem for him is apparently they're just hidden in the bottom part of his deck because he shuffles with the Ponder, plays another Ponder, and then draws a card. Attacks me for 3, putting me down to 20, and it's my turn. I've been gaining life by eating all my candy trails. They give 3 life when I crack them and draw me a card. And now I have so much mana. Do I have the threats? I have a Maelstrom Colossus, the Cascade triggers. It finds a land, it finds a map. It's actually not that bad to find a map, because it can find me the Fern Graph that can pull creatures out of my graveyard, and it can go find me the colors I need. He counters the Maelstrom Colossus, which makes a lot of sense, but then the map can go get the Fern Graph and pull it back out of my deck. For now, I choose to crack both my Limbus and my map. The Limbus will give me 3 life and shuffle it in, and while I'm shuffling, I go find a land. I have enough threats in my hand, so I don't need the Fern Graph yet. I'll just get a tower and get another 3 mana next turn. My opponent plays a Murmuring Mystic and then a Mental Load, which tells me it doesn't have counter to back up that Murmuring Mystic, so I should probably get rid of it as soon as possible. He puts me back down to 20. This has been, 23, 20, 23, 20, 23, 20. That Murmuring Mystic is scary, but with 1 mana open, it's very unlikely that I'll get to live. I'll start by playing a Wretched Griff for my turn. It draws a card on my trigger, and here's the Pinnacle Helix Help Shippy Ship. It shoots the little Mystic, and it dies. He didn't have an annul for it. And then I equip to my Wretched Griff, so it can attack. It has Vigilance, and he takes 3, going to 17. He now has a Delver and a Bird, which is enough to trade with the Griff, but that would be so good. He uses Sleep of the Dead to tap it. It won't untap on my turn, which buys him a little bit of tempo. Now he can actually put me down below 20 to 16. He's representing 9 damage on board, which is kind of scary, but if I can find a creature to put my kill ship online, I think I'm fine here, honestly. I still have a Limbus to gain another 3 life as well. His Boulder Branch Golem, it gives me 6 life when it enters. Wow, it didn't actually enter. It took a counter spell. I don't gain those 6 life, and then I use a map to go get a Haunted Fern Graph. This can bring my Maelstrom Colossus back from the graveyard. Once again, I read the card wrong. I thought it said target creature from your graveyard back to your hand, but I could have used the Progenitus on myself and then exiling the creatures I don't want to return. So I should have tapped it targeting myself, and now I exile my full graveyard to draw another card. I have the Maelstrom Colossus back from my graveyard, so everything's fine, even if I am kind of a little bit in danger here. I don't have anything to block with, and my opponent is representing a good amount of damage here, but if I can resolve a Maelstrom Colossus, all of those 5/5 snakes and everything, they don't really actually do anything at this point. A Brainstorm from my opponent, so his hand is really good. And then he uses a Demon Inferior on my kill ship, and I can choose to put it on the bottom or top of my deck. I put it second from the top of my deck, and then he attacks, putting me down to 7, which is kind of scary because he has enough damage on the board to just finish me off next turn. Luckily, my Griff actually untaps now and is ready to block. And he can't cast the Sleep of the Dead from the graveyard because I exiled the graveyards. His Maelstrom Colossus, it finds the kill ship that he put on top of my deck, getting rid of the Tolarian Terror. He remembers to trigger the ward, and I paid 2 for it. I then use it to station my ship, so now I have a 7/7 flyer. I also play another Lempus that I could crack to get even more life, and I could get myself back up to 13 if I needed. Which I will do. I then equip the equipment to my ship, and then I just swing in for 7, putting my opponent down to 3. My opponent doesn't have enough damage to actually finish me off right now, so I'm just gonna let him attack. I know that this deck has no reach, as in it has no burn spells or any way to deal damage directly to me, so whatever power is on the board is the maximum amount of damage I can take in a given turn. He's out of gas, has to play a Lauren Reveal to draw 3 cards, and that means I'm probably winning because I will win the grind out if it has to come to that. He plays another big snake, he's at 10, and I have 10 flying damage. All I need to do is get rid of a 1/1 bird. First I play a Wretched Griff, I draw a card, and here comes a Lempus that can gain another 3 life. It also draws a card, importantly. I keep looking through my deck to play stuff, and here's the Maelstrom Colossus. It has a Cascade, and that's Ulamog's Crusher. It can't actually put Ulamog's Crusher into play, but my opponent realizes he has to concede anyway. We found Tron before my opponent slammed any big snakes into the board, so everything is great. I am loving my life today. We need to make sure that we keep trading up with every one of our monsters, while our opponent just keeps losing value. This hand is bad. I don't only have 1 Tron land and no maps to really find anything, but I do have ways to stabilize, I feel like. Here's my secret philosophy in a situation like this. I'm up a game 1-0 against my opponent. I could mulligan to find a much better hand, but you know what? I can also just risk it. Even if I lose now, I'll have a 3rd game where I'm on the play, so let's just take the 7 and draw well and win it. It's the 2nd game and I feel fine. The 1st game was a little scary. I got pretty low, but with all the healing, I'm fine. Oh, he annuls my expedition map. That could be a problem to assemble Tron. Then he plays a Ponder as the 2nd thing. He already has 2 spells in the graveyard now, and he's ordered the top of his library. If he has a mental node, he could get a lot of stuff into the graveyard. I tried to play a Candy Trail. It also gets an annul, and he's using a lot of interaction to stop me from assembling Tron. But I have a world map, so at least I can go find 1 more Tron land soon. I only have 1 of the Tron lands in play right now. The other one is a Haunted Ferngraph. I play another Candy Trail, scrying 2, but I have to put them both on the bottom. Neither of them are a Tron land. The reason I don't use my world map yet and use the Candy instead is to 1, gain life, but also, if I actually draw a Tron land, it could accidentally be the same one as the one I found with world map. So I have to save the world map for after I naturally draw a Tron piece. My opponent mills himself too, and that means he has a lot of spells in his graveyard, and then he uses a Lauren Wheel to go find an island. You can see me counting. I know what's gonna happen, you know what's gonna happen. First, it's a 1 mana Tolarian Tower, and oh, it's just 1. Well, that's still very scary. I find the tower, then I can use the world map to go get the last Tron land. I can't play it this turn, but next turn, I have Tron available. But there's another snake, and I get hit down for 18, but maybe my Tron is too late now. He got under me with 2 very large snakes. I don't know why I say it that way. But here's a Maelstrom Colossus. I can cascade into Candy Trail, which represents some healing and a card draw. And now he can't really attack because that Maelstrom Colossus is bigger than both of his creatures. So I think I should be fine. I'm also at 21, which isn't a lot against... Oh, Sleep of the Dead taps it and it doesn't untap. 11 damage puts me down to 10. Okay, I'm gonna have to find a way to block next turn or get rid of one of those creatures. Sadly, I just have a map, and the map can't even find anything useful. I use a Zuko's Exile, it gets countered, and that's the end of the game. That was too fast for me. I made poor decision. Got his snakes under me too fast. That's a weird thing to say, but that's what happened. He got his snakes in too fast. Huge snake. Snake, snake, snake. This is ridiculous. This is the second time today I have natural Tron in hand. What is my opponent gonna do? They sideboard in these ways to counter my maps, but I don't need them. So I can just assemble Tron, and then I get going. And I don't think there's any way he can stop me, because even if he have counter spells, I'm on the play. So if he needs to spend his turn 3 countering my thing, that means he doesn't play any threats, which means I'm good. I don't see how this can go wrong. Game 3 is gonna be better. I have much more Tron lands in my hand, and I can put down this expedition map before he can put a blue mana down, meaning he can't counter it even with a 1 mana counter spell. And I already have 2 of the Tron lands. I can go find the last one, which means I have 7 mana when my opponent has 2. So, no amount of snakes, delvers, or anything is gonna stop what comes next. He has to keep counterspells open to stop the threats, or have a bunch of Sleep of the Dead. I can't see how my opponent wins when I slam my 3rd land, but maybe he'll show me, he'll surprise me. He plays the 2nd island, plays a ponder, filling up his graveyard, looking for the snakes. He puts them back and draws a card, which probably means he has some snakes in his hand. But that's fine, because I have Tron Online. Tron Line, that's the joke. Tron Line! I play a Relic of Progenitus. I know this is really good, so he doesn't have ways to counter my artifacts. I could use the Relic right here to exile the whole graveyard. I simply tap it to exile 1 card. My opponent mental notes and puts 2 cards into the graveyard, and then the mental note. Right here, I should probably exile the Relic, and I do get rid of the graveyard before he can cast any snakes. And now it's his turn, he draws for turn, and the graveyard is empty, meaning the snakes cost, 7 mana? Instead of 1. And I have another Relic. This is me with Tron Online turn 3, by just drawing cards. Oh, I did have an expedition map, and my opponent's game plan has been sabotaged because he didn't have any early counter spells. I find another tower with another expedition map, and even if my opponent fills up the graveyard now, that other Relic I drew can just exile 1 card every turn. I try to play an Ulamog's Crusher, it gets countered, but that's fine. I have Haunted Ferngraph to bring it back, and I have another threat next turn. I remember to use my Relic. Always use it on your own turn. There's no real reason to use that at the end step. So I exile the card. He draws a ponder, plays the ponder, and has to go start looking for a way to get anything into play. Delver of Secret is a great card. It's just kind of not great against my deck, because it's a 1-1 that can tempo into a 3-2, but that doesn't really matter if I slam down, like, this thing, which also gains me 6 life, putting me to 20. Oh, it gets counterspelled. That's fine. We don't mind trading 1 for 1. Eventually, we'll draw threats that are better. I used the Haunted Ferngraph to bring back Ulamog's Crusher, when it should actually be random what I bring back. But I could have just used the Relic on myself to exile the Boulder Branch. That would give my opponent a chance to have spells in his graveyard, but I have mana open to exile both graveyards if need be. My opponent flips the Delver, attacks me, putting me down to 17. I exile his graveyard by tapping my Relic. And then I play a Wretched Griff, which draws a card upon cast, and it resolves, and it's big enough to block the Delver, so I assume my opponent doesn't have any counter spells at this point. Another map finds me another Haunted Ferngraph, so if my creature dies, I can just bring it back to my hand. I feel very comfortable in this situation, There's no snakes, there's no pressure. Even though there's a Sleep of the Dead on my Wretched Griff, that damage coming in is only 3, putting me down to 14. And I have so much healing in my deck. My opponent does have 4 mana open, so could have a lot of counter spells still. But that 1 Delver is gonna have to go a very far distance to win. I tap all of my mana. First I play Ulamog's Crusher. He has to counter this. It's too powerful. It resolves, and I play the Killik Bishop, and it shoots the Delver. Then I exile a card from his graveyard, which is a Sleep of the Dead, so he can't cast it again. And then I can use Ulamog's Crusher to bring my ship alive by stationing. Now, I have the board, I have his graveyard exile, and I have infinite mana. I do not see how I lose from here, neither does my opponent. Even if he has a lot of good cards, he can't actually play them, and it's good game. was fun. We're on 2-0 now. We just need one more win to take the whole tournament. But here's the problem. My last opponent isn't playing snakes. I actually don't know what he's playing. I'm spoiling because I do know. It's just the previous me didn't know. I didn't know at the time. I don't think it matters too much what deck my opponent is on, as long as it's not a combo deck. I have no counter spells. So what am I up against? Well, let's go found. Wait. Oh, he's on a mulligan to 4. You know what? Actually, sometimes it's really scary, you know? When my opponent mulligans to less than 5 or less, and an alarm goes off in my brain, it's like, oh god, if I lose now, I'm gonna have to hear about this for weeks, months. I have to win. When you're playing someone who has mulligan to 5 or below, you have to win. If you don't, that person is gonna just have bragging rights against you forever. Luckily, I had 2 Tron lands and an expedition map, so I can get Tron online on turn 3. And I win first because I won the die roll. He played 2 lands, and I used a Scour from Existence to exile one of his lands. He could have been stuck on lands because he only started with 4 cards, but he does play another one. Scour of Existence exiles a permanent for 7 mana at instant speed. I wish I could play 4 of them, but I can only play 2 because I just don't have any moils. That's why I play Zuko's Exile. Then I play Candy Trail looking for some sort of threats. I find it. It's the Maelstrom Colossus, and it flips into Zuko's Exile, which I play instead of the Scour. It can exile a land, well, an artifact, but those lands are artifacts. And now my opponent is stuck on 1 land with a black mana. And I'm very happy about. Wait, he had another land and he kills my creature. Alright, this is a little scary, but surely I cannot lose this. I've exiled 2 lands and I have Tron online. I'm Tron line. I play a Maelstrom Colossus. I then Cascade. I can't get Ulamog's Crusher. It's too expensive. I get a world map, which I'm fine with. And I even have a Haunted Ferngraph that I can use. But I'd rather use the world map to go find myself another Haunted Ferngraph, which can bring back the creatures from my graveyard, which is that Maelstrom Colossus that will win me the game eventually. I don't know what my opponent's deck is trying to do. All I've seen is lands and 1 removal spell. But since he had all those lands, that's probably why he doesn't have that much gas. I play a Boulder Branch, gain 6 life, attack for 7, put my opponent down to 13. He plays another land. That's the 5th land in a row on a 4-land hand. And another cast down. It feels like this deck is functioning very well for a mulligan to 4. Can I please just win this game soon? I do not want to lose. I mean, I won't. I still have more cards in hand than my opponent. And I have the bigger board. It's fine. We're fine. I play another Maelstrom Colossus thanks to Haunted Ferngraph. I get the equipment that gives haste, put it on the Colossus, and I swing for a whole bunch of damage. And my opponent thinks it doesn't have haste, but it does because of the equipment. Yay, we win! We beat 4 cards. That's magic sometimes, baby. Yeah, I did actually take this one. Big surprise. My opponent was on a mulligan to 5, and I had everything, so good on him for being a really good sport and having fun despite of having to mull so low. That's what happens. Magic's mana system has this thing where that happens, but it's a great system. Don't go around there saying that the land system is bad. It's so good for so many reasons. Go find a video to tell you about it. I'm too lazy to explain, but basically lands are amazing for a card game. My opponent is mulliganing again, but to 6, so it's not so bad. Let's hope that it's a good game this time, but let's hope even more that I win. I want that secret treasure prize. Also, I want store credits so I can buy a polluted delta, which, yeah, I need for legacy. This should be a more fair game. My opponent is on the play and has 6 cards this turn. I still have 7 though, and I have a Tron land into a map because I can just never not have great hands apparently. My opponent uses a Glinthawk to return his own land to his hand and then play that land again, which is a weird play. That's not how Glinthawk makes value usually, but it is a very aggressive hand. I play another Tron land, use it to find the last Tron land with my map. I take 2, go to 18, and he does the same thing again, bouncing a land, playing a hawk.
I'm not sure if I should be scared or not. I play a Boulder Branch going up to 24, slowing my opponent's aggressive plan down. He plays a Blade of Tithing that kills my Boulder Branch Golem and attacks in, putting me down to 20. Those two Hawks are kind of scary, but like, let's be real. He set himself back 2 land drops, and I have another Boulder Branch, so I'll go back up to 26. I'm still above my starting life total, so I think I'm fine here. This aggressive plan has not worked out, but there's another removal spell getting rid of my creatures, putting me back down to 22. And how many Boulder Branch Golems can one person have? Well, not that many, so I have to play a Maelstrom Colossus that hits a Scour from existence. I want to get rid of the Tithing Blaze in case it flips and starts dealing 1 damage every turn. I think this was a wrong play. Just get rid of the creatures here. But I've lost too many times to a flipped Tithing Blade, and I made poor decisions here. My opponent plays Navigational Compass, gains 3 life, plays Cryogen Relic, drawing a card, and can stun one of my creatures for 2 mana, and draws another card when it leaves. Then attacks me down to 18. I attack for 7, putting my opponent to 16. So even though he's been aggressing me for like 5 turns, I clearly have the aggression now. Especially with Ulamog's Crusher coming down too. There's no blocking now. He needs another removal spell to have a chance in this game, because Ulamog's Crusher makes too much value. That's Myr Enforcer, and he's paying mana for both of them. Can you believe it? A Myr Enforcer that's not free? It has affinity for artifacts, so it gets 1 cheaper for every artifact you have in play. So usually you have 7 artifacts when you play it. I attack with an Ulamog's Crusher. I trigger the Annihilator. He sacrifices the Compass and the Relic. That draws him a card when the Relic leaves the battlefield. He blocks it with both the Myrs, so this Ulamog Crusher dies, but it traded 4 cards for 1 card. And I have the Haunted Ferngraph to get it back in my hand. I can't cast it again right now, but I have a Relic I can crack. Not that it does anything great, but it draws me a card, so why not do it? That's what's so great about Relic in this deck. It kind of just thins your deck. Once you have Tron line, you can just kind of play it, crack it, and it helps your plan with the Haunted Ferngraphs. It's my opponent's turn. Will he finally slow down and stop attacking me with the Hawks, or is the Hawk plan all in? It's another Myr Enforcer. This one costs 4 mana, and the Hawks are going for it. I think my opponent knows this game's gonna end sooner or later. He can't grind me out, so the aggressive plan is the only plan. I have a spaceship that shoots the Myr Enforcer for 10 damage, and then I station it. Now I have a 7/7 flyer, so finally those Hawks can't pester me anymore. I don't know how much damage they've done to me, but I have healed a lot of life, and I'm down to 13, so I'm worried. Like, I'm worried that in an alternative universe I lost this because I didn't heal. My opponent plays the Core Skyfisher, returning a land to his hand and playing, well, he can't play it again, but that's what he's been doing all game. Now it's time to win. I play a Lembas and go look for something. My opponent has a couple of flying grizzly bears. I attack for 7. I start eating his creatures. Oh, he has a Thraben Charm. That kills my Colossus. Now he still has 4 flying damage, but I do have a 7/7, and I can cast Ulamog's Crusher again. I'm down to 1 card in hand, so is my opponent, but like, look at the creatures standing across from each other. There's a class difference here. I am winning the game, right? I don't know why I'm saying right. I mean, I have to. My opponent plays a Tithing Blade. Now I have to choose which of my 2 creatures to sacrifice. I choose the Flyer. I think having 9 life is enough to win this game because Ulamog's Crusher has Annihilator, and now he has to sacrifice 2 lands, going back down to 3. He keeps the blue around, because, like, Thoughtcast, I assume, which is another affinity spell that draws 2 cards. I play Boulder Branch, going up to 15, and now I'm winning this race. I finally am safe. My opponent can't attack, simply because he has to block, otherwise he will lose the game. He's Maelstrom Colossus, into a Griff, into a draw, which is exactly what I needed to seal this game. I attack, My opponent doesn't want to concede, which I respect. He's a great guy. Even though he milled this much, he's having a great time and we're having fun playing this game. Me, I always have fun when I win. My opponent simply always has fun, which I wish I could. I get a little depressed when I lose sometimes. Good game.
3-0, we won. The secret prize card was a red elemental blast, which is so sick to get as an additional bonus. I'm very happy about that. I also got my polluted delta from the store credit, so it's been a great day. It's been a while since I went into prizes, so it feels good to actually get to do it. But it's because I keep playing different decks. I need to find a deck that I can play multiple times so I can actually feel like I'm learning. The thing about Monster Tron is it's really fun. The bar of entry is very low. You can get in there, find Tron, slam a monster, and you're good to go and can win a tournament if you like. I don't know how high the ceiling of skill for it is. Many other decks, you need to really understand the deck. If it's a combo deck, if it's a tempo deck, you need to know what to do. Here I slam a big guy, the big guy wins the game for me. But there are a lot of things like making sure your scries are used correctly for the cascade and stuff. So you could become very good at this deck. There's probably other decks where, you know, your skill level pays off more. That's all. Don't forget to subscribe. I don't know. I recorded all this. I dressed up. I showed off my legs. I don't know what more you want from me other than a picture of my hamster. Baby. I'm not gonna wake up my hamster for likes. Like, subscribe, have a good time. See you later, bye.